Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelove, and this is Speedplay France, number 8 in Hearts of Iron 4. We left off having destroyed basically all of Western Germany. We're now holed up against the east of their country, and we're going to go ahead and just reform our armies. We have all of our rapid units in different groups than everything else. Turns out we only have 13 left. So we have taken some major attrition with our motorized, mechanized, and armored units, seeing as that 13 stack includes things like horses, cavalry, and all that. So we probably have maybe 5 or 6 divisions of actual modern mobile weaponry. So that is in no way ideal. Our army is almost entirely infantry, just kind of shoveled vaguely in the direction of the Germans, so maybe we should have picked a more infantry-heavy doctrinal thing to go for. As it is, though, this will help us in the long run. What we have to really do now is just finally get the Germans to capitulate. They have been going on for quite some time. You'll notice we are trying to gouge a path over to Vienna. It's not going particularly well, but not particularly poorly either. We do have a decent number of infantry, I can say that, so that is going well for us. And obviously the war is not going poorly when we're occupying Berlin and almost the majority of the German state just on our own. So yeah, we are also breaking out, which is pretty great. Hopefully we will be able to just keep the pressure on the Germans, eventually get them to just fully fall apart, really, is the goal. And alright, so we are just moving vaguely eastwardly. Over here we're trying to take Hamburg, still not quite there yet. We did encircle and destroy some German units, which is always nice. And we are getting slightly closer to Vienna. It looks as though it might just be a straight shot now, which would be pretty great. We are unfortunately having to defend right there. Other than that, though, we are in the suburbs of Vienna. It looks as though we have just taken the city, the old capital, and now we are moving forward. The old capital of, like, the Holy Roman Empire and all that. Not, of course, Germany. Anyway, though, so yeah, we did not actually end the war by taking Vienna, which is a little bit bittersweet, but we did get closer. We are also just attacking really wherever we can, hoping for the best, making progress. We are attacking Hamburg. Looks like we will win it this time round. And places like Graz, it looks as though the battle is a bit harsh and not really seeing any goals achieved. Hamburg still going on, despite the fact that we're very close to winning it. Meanwhile, areas like Bratislava, all that, don't seem to really be moving. The Germans are just weirdly resistant. You could almost call it fanatical, which I guess does kind of fit in with the World War II bit where the Germans just kept fighting until the very most bitter of ends. So it's interesting, we are doing that. That's something people couldn't expect from the French state if they were to invade it, seeing as we have 35% national unity. So that's not exactly ideal for us for the future. Hopefully, though, it'll never come to us getting invaded. Knock on wood. At any rate, though, it's definitely very far from that being the case right now, as we do have most of the major German cities. We are hopefully destroying these pocketed elements. We lost the Battle of Graz. We might go ahead and attack again, and we do. Other than that, though, it's really just us trying to end their resistance. It's weird how almost impotent we are right now. Like, we've gotten so far and done so much to just smash the German resistance. It looks like they even destroyed all of the British occupied area, and now that's just German again. So we have to deal with our flank, because now there's that whole thing. Germany is retaking Germany behind us. So we're going to have to find additional infantry units, pull them away from the current front line, get them to wheel around and deal with it. You'll notice there isn't really any consistent front line now. It's just a bunch of clumps of soldiers just meeting up in various areas. Looks like we managed to overrun a tank with infantry. And we are wheeling around and just doing a lot of damage to them, since they don't actually have very many units in this massive pocket of German territory they've been taking back. And this is actually even better for us, since now we don't have to share that area with the British, so that's cool. We can even maybe march on Prague, which would be nice, although kind of awkward. And, yeah, so the war went sort of weird, a bit differently. That massive German breakout through West Germany was definitely unexpected, although we are more or less already done cleaning it up. And we are in actual Czechoslovakian territory now. Luckily, we didn't end up just giving the territory back to Czechoslovakia, which is pretty cool. I imagine if any Allied units were to roll on into it, though, they would give it back automatically, and then we'd have to deal with that whole mess. So it's lucky that we don't have to deal with it right now. Also, Poland was just annexed by the Germans, so we'll probably take direct control over that too, which I'm also very down for, very alright with. And yeah, it looks like we see the first Czechoslovak territory down there. We are cleaning up the rest of these pockets over in the west. And there we go, that's Czechoslovak territory. That tealish bit that we just can't move on. I could ask them for military access, but I don't want to give them the legitimacy of a state by doing that. Not that that's how the game works, I just don't want to do it for personal reasons. At any rate, we are nearly done conquering the Germans, but I thought that at the end of last episode as well, so who's really to say? And the personal reasons aren't any slur against Czechoslovakia, I just want to conquer the world and don't want to say that they're a legitimate state in a place we're conquering. Especially because I'm not sure what the rules are in the game with us losing the occupied territories. At any rate, the Germans did just capitulate. There are some little outcrops of resistance still left. Other than that, though, the screen freaks out for a while, and I have absolutely no idea what caused that. But it goes back to normal, so that's cool. And then we just start attacking everywhere that's left. The Germans were probably the vast majority of the military machine of the Axis, so as long as we just keep gunning it in their general direction, I'm fairly certain we can end the war in Europe by the end of this episode. Really, the vast majority of resistance should be more or less dead at this point, although to be fair, I thought that at the end of last episode. So who's really to say? We are, however, gunning forward. Danzig is weirdly well defended. Looks like we just managed to take Warsaw, so crazy Poland is now gone. Fascist Poland doesn't exist anymore. Interesting concept, but they didn't even have an army, so is it really all that fascist? Hungary, all of that, we're just kind of marching on into. We do have some amount of an armored spearhead, so that's good. We can probably use that a bit. Other than that, we're just kind of driving vaguely on in. It doesn't look as though there's very much in the way of resistance anymore, except once again in Danzig. Still holding out. Hungary just capitulated, so we're going to just smash any remaining forces. Italy still in Yugoslavia doing all that. Danzig still just kind of being a fortress city. We are attacking it, but it is going poorly. I believe it was the Desert Fox, Erwin Rommel, leading the defense. So, I mean, good for him, I guess. Slightly better than his historical end. And, yeah, so we're charging into Romania, charging against Danzig. Actually, the defense is led by a Japanese dude. So who's really to say? At any rate, though, we are still moving forward. Not sure why I thought Erwin Rommel was defending that. Yeah, just kind of moving forward. Weirdly unable to bring considerable bits of force to some of the elements of just pocketed German resistance and all that. The main front line, though, through Yugoslavia and the Balkans is really just turning in our favor. And it doesn't seem as though there's going to be a very long amount of time before we're done. You'll notice that there are AI-drawn borders now, with actual AI units led into the combat. We just gave most of our territory over to the AI, just taking one clump for personal use up in the north, and our armored units also for personal use. Hopefully they'll all just do their jobs decently well. Doesn't look like there's very much else in the way of resistance. We are charging up against Lithuania. I think it's like Lone Wolf Lithuania or something. But, yeah. So we are making progress. That is the most important thing. Charging through Romania. The war is essentially won in Europe. So if our whole goal for this series was to just defeat the Axis and be like, woo, we did it, guys, good job, mission accomplished, then we'd basically be at the end of the series. But that's not the goal of this series. The goal of the series is a French world conquest. And we are nowhere near done for that. Now, we have gone quite a distance. We are still fighting for Danzig, and weirdly enough, the battle in Lithuania is falling apart, sort of. Romania, hopefully we'll be able to just break in a short amount of time. And we are just charging up generally. Bulgaria, weirdly enough, is in the Axis, but not actually fighting us. Romania did just capitulate, so there are some small pocketed groups of units. Other than that, there's not very much left, and hopefully we will be able to clean that up pretty quickly. Some Italian areas still remain. We should probably at some point go take Sardinia, just since they're clearly not going to capitulate on their own. especially because every power that we're fighting has capitulated except for Japan, which is off in the distance. We're fabricating claims against Greece and Bulgaria just to kind of roll on into them and see if we're able to do it. That may end up knocking us into a war with the Allies, though, so that could be negative. I was wrong. Lithuania is still existent, so maybe we don't have to wait until Japan also surrenders. However, Iron Wolf, not Lone Wolf, Iron Wolf Lithuania does surrender. They capitulated. So the only country we're still fighting that isn't in exile is the Japanese. Alright, we do attack. Erwin Rommel is leading Lithuania now, or Lithuania, Danzig's defense now. Not sure why I thought that was Lithuania. I guess I'm just tired. At any rate, though, we are just gunning it into Danzig with just as many troops as we can, just cycling them out as they lose organization. Japan is really the only place left. Luckily, the Allies are defending us in Siam, so that's cool. We might even just leave the Allies to fight the Japanese and go fight the Soviets. That is something we could do. Potentially, we could maybe just focus on internal stuff, get our army of the future ready to go, and from there, move out against the rest of the world. It really depends. We also send a portion of our navy over to the coast outside Danzig, since we are still losing this fight. So yeah, Erwin Rommel is doing a very successful defense of the last province of the German Reich within the actual confines of the German Reich. There are some bits in Czechoslovakia, but we don't have access to them, so they just get to exist. Good for you guys. And there we go, we cycle our forces once again. Erwin Rommel, the staunch defender of the last pocket of Nazi resistance within the confines of the... Wow, that's such a mouthy, wordy thing to say. At any rate, though, yeah, we are nearly done, is the most important part of that. It is kind of dragging on, admittedly, but, you know, it's their last defense. It's the great last hurrah. I mean, Nazi Germany is all about that, or was all about that historically, the whole final moments, desperate defense, something about it being more meaningful than ending the war in some weird third world country where they end the last bit of resistance. So yeah, maybe it does fit into their whole national, global worldview. At any rate, it looks as though the battle is finally about to be over. We finally ended Danzig, took control over it. We have terrible issues with resistance all throughout Germany, Italy, and the Balkans, so most of our factories aren't actually working. We're going to have to deal with that as time goes on. We gained something like 140,000 men lost, the Germans 300,000 or so, and the other roughly, well, just a lot. I don't know why I'm not having any good time saying words right now, so we're just going to end it here. Thanks very much for watching.